Let me start this intro over again. Hi, I'm Pastor Trevor with another tech tour for you. I wanted to show you a little bit about our online communication tool, Planning Center. This has become pretty important to the Life of the Worship Arts team. Everyone is pretty well acclimated to the system. It will send automated messages out. You can give specific directions for different tech team members, and print out service orders for individual tech team members too. So I'm going to show you around a little bit and help you understand what's going on here. So we're going to start by adding a new service. Right now, we're actually through the end of our scheduling period, which is June 1st. There's no more further plans in our matrix. So we're going to come back out to just our plans section of Planning Center. You're going to hear me accidentally call this ProPresenter about 6 times probably. So we have 2 service types. And if you go back in Gas City, you'll see we've got a Gas City folder and an off-campus folder. That was made because originally we had our Gas City campus and we had a Jonesboro campus, and we were doing 2 different service orders for each campus. Sometimes there were specific directives that we did at Jonesboro that were different than how we did things here. So we don't do that anymore. We make one service order for both services, even though one is in the sanctuary sometimes and the other is in the CLC. That's probably going to be going away here soon, so you don't have to worry about it. But regardless, we do one service order to keep things simple, and so there's no discrepancies. That's super important. So if you click on our Gas City, we've got our special services, which may be like a midweek service that is not typical. And then we just have our regular worship services. And down here at the bottom, we're going to just click Add Plan. And it's going to ask you how many you want to add. Let's go ahead and add the rest of June. So we'll add 4 plans. That will probably take us, that takes us through the end of June, which is perfect. And we'll just go ahead and copy times from June 1st, since we know we're going to continue to have a 9 and 11 a.m. service, and we'll keep the same Thursday night practice times and things like that. And it'll start on the Sunday that we don't have, which is after June 1st. June 8th is the next Sunday, and it'll start there with the next 4 plans. You can also select what type of template you want. If you make a different template other than service order, you might have like a funeral service order or something like that. So you can go through and change the template if you want, but you can just use the standard one as the service order, and then you just click Add, and it'll load and load and load, and then once that's done, you'll have 4 new plans that you can start working on. I tend to work mostly from the matrix. So if you click the little matrix button, it's going to take you back to this pane, and it's going to show you however many plans you have selected to show. So you click this little drop down here, and it's going to tell you what you're looking at. So I'm looking at all of June right here. Now you can load the previous plans because we're not quite to June yet. We still have some of May left, so you might want to be able to see what's going on in May still. So you can click this load previous plan, or you can come over here and use your custom made matrix. So like I have a total 16-week schedule. If you just select that, it's going to show you everything 16 weeks out. And I try to be scheduled, so I have people in the schedule 6 weeks out at a given time. And I try to email those people 3 weeks in advance. Sometimes they can get in there and check it before I've even emailed them, but a lot of times they don't do that. But I try to have scheduled 6 weeks out, and then you can go ahead and just email everyone all at once if you finalized that schedule. And then you know well in advance whether or not people are going to be available. Now, some people just don't know what their schedule looks like. Things happen short notice and stuff like that. We just had a week where someone was sick on Sunday morning and couldn't be there, and we had to call in a backup. But the good news is we have backups for everything. The one thing that we don't have is extra people on sound. So that's always been kind of our hardest tech position to fill. But yeah, you can go through and you can You can easily just click and drag people. Like we'll probably have Heather. Actually, Heather plays every other Sunday, so you can have her on acoustic or electric, depending on what you want Tyler to do. If you want Tyler on acoustic and Heather on electric, that works out well too. And you can just do, you can do tracks if you need. Tyler's not going to play keys. He does not play keys. There we go. We'll put Tyler on Cajon for June 8th, and you can just go through and you can get Tyler out of there. You can put Jake on electric. You can put Kelsey and Ruth on, you know, and so on. It's easy. You can just click and drag people. You can also just click on what's needed, and it will tell you who's available with no conflicts. So Tim just played on June 1st, so let's put Jeff in there, and we'll swap Jeff and Tim in and out. So that's how that works. Pretty straightforward. You can also enable signups. So if you don't want to do all these individual like scheduling, you can enable signups, which is defaulted to being on, and then you can email a sign-up sheet for that service. And you can also add the tech team, right? So if you wanted the tech team to just go in and see if they're available, and they can schedule themselves. That's not a bad way to do it, but a lot of times people won't schedule themselves. So I've tried it before. It varies whether or not you get a response from them, but I try to be scheduled 6 weeks out, like I said. So for instance, we have this coming Sunday, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we'd be scheduling through the middle of June. If you want to go above and beyond, you can just schedule through the end of June. And then I try to have songs out 3 weeks in advance. So that way people have plenty of time to practice and know the songs. So I'll get May 18th and May 25th done. And then from there, you guys can decide what you want to do. So whoever's running this, it's pretty simple. You just select a song, and you can add a song with the song tab here and add link a song. And then you can just search for it, or you can scroll and find ones. You can sort it by when the last time it was scheduled. So these are all songs that have been scheduled. Obviously, it gets older and older the further back we go. Like here's a bunch of Christmas songs from back in December, 21 weeks ago, right? So, but yeah, pretty straightforward. And then when you want to get more detailed as far as adding different notes and things to service order items, you can click on the plan, the date in the matrix. So from the matrix, you click on the little underlined link to take you to here. Now those templates have default commands for each item. So you'll see here you've got audio, ProPresenter, live stream, and lighting. Those are the 4 we use right now. You can also add other things like vocals if you want to give vocals specific directives, or band members, or if you have maybe a guest there that's going to be speaking, you can just use the person. Like let's say we have someone from Youth for Christ coming to speak on a Sunday for just a moment between service. You would add that person, and she would get her own service order directive. And so here's our audio commands, our ProPresenter commands. Again, these are all just default things. So if something's not right because it's outdated or something like that, you may need to adjust it, and you may want to adjust it in our template. I think you can get to the templates by going up to actions and settings, right? And here's our templates, and you can click service order. And when you get to your template here, you can change what the default service order is. Here's all these default directives that are given, and you can make adjustments to things here. And then you can also change like what the default needed people are. Like right now, we haven't recruited anyone to be stage crew, but if that were the case, we would have someone in charge of like moving the pulpit around and stuff like that. And then, yeah, so let's go back to our worship order and I'll show you how to print these out. So each week I go through, I double check all of our tech directives to make sure they're accurate. And sometimes, like when you pull a song in, it will have directives in it from the last time we played that song. And so you'll want to double check that, because if the song is in a different spot in the service order than it was last time, it may have wrong directives in it. And then when you're ready to print, you just hit this little print icon here, and you can select what item notes you want. So each person in the tech team gets their own individual tech team order. So you can just select audio for our sound person and submit. And from this web page here, you can just Command P to print it, and then go ahead and print your service order. I'm not going to do that right now because obviously we're not on May 18th yet. But for all the other individual tech team members, you just go through, print, and deselect what was last made and select the new one. Because we have 2 service times, I don't like to include both of those service times because it just makes things kind of messy. But you can look at what that looks like when you add like service times and everything. And from this page, when I do print a general service order for anyone else that wants one, like Pastor Ken usually wants one of his own, same with Pastor Noah. And so what I'll do is just make one with no directives in it. So you just deselect all of those service order item notes, and you can just Command P from here, if you're on a MacBook anyway, and you can open in preview. I don't like to save these onto the computer because otherwise I'd have a million saved PDFs of old service orders that I don't really want, because Planning Center already archives them for me. So just takes up space on my hard drive. So I don't try to save them onto my computer. I just open it in preview, and then it gives me some more specific controls over service order printout when you print it. So you can print 2 copies, and if you do 2 copies per page, you can do half sheets, which saves on paper. So that's usually what I do when I'm printing just a general service order. I do 2 copies per page, and I'll print. So you'll have 4 copies of these. So for anyone that wants them, you can print those out that way. And that's about it. So at the beginning of service, you should have 4 unique service order printouts for each person on the tech team, and they should be at their station, ready to go for them on Thursday night. And then on Sunday morning, there should also be a place where Pastor Ken knows to get the half sheet service order, or whoever else wants it. That's pretty much the gist of it. You've got our service order times here. Those repeat every single week. And we haven't been doing sound check lately because we have everything in the CLC. So we have a sound check at 10 a.m. that we don't really need anymore. And I have a prayer huddle here. My team knows that that's optional. They don't have to be there for that. But I also tell my team to get there early because we want to be ready to go at 8. So they may come in for prayer huddle specifically, or they may come in, 5 minutes after, or 5 minutes before service starts, right? Or before sound check starts, sorry. Pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a whole lot else to show you when it comes to this stuff. This is, and then we've got blockouts and things like that people should know to do by now. If they have dates they know they can't be there, they can go ahead and get into Planning Center and add blockout dates with this button here. And that will tell you that they're not available for those Sundays. If you try to schedule them for those Sundays that they've blocked out, it will automatically decline. And it'll tell you whether or not it's automatically declined too. So this little circular icon here tells you it's an automatic decline. This one just tells you it's a blockout. This was a decline, and it will tell you whether or not it was automatic or she declined it. Okay, I think that's probably good. There are tons of training videos that Planning Center themselves have made on YouTube. definitely check those out if you want to learn more about the program. This can do a lot as far as church management and stuff. It can manage rooms. We're in the services side of it. It's got registration for events. It's got check-ins for children's stuff. It's got options for giving. Of course, it's a fairly expensive tool, but it's a very robust tool. The other thing I really like about Planning Center is that you can actually, on Probe Center, directly import the service order, and it will pull items from the service order into a playlist. It can be a little finicky sometimes, but for the most part, it works really great. Makes people's lives a lot easier. So continue to use Planning Center. Put someone in charge of it that wants to do it, and it should run really well for you. There you go.